I'm Stephanie Mitchell, 34, and I never imagined my morning coffee routine would include discovering my sister Taylor had publicly disowned me. Finally blocking my toxic sister. Family is better without her, the Facebook post read. My stomach dropped. We just spoken 2 days ago, and everything seemed normal. Years of memories flashed before my eyes as I tried to understand how our relationship had crumbled so completely. The betrayal of being labeled toxic by my own blood felt like a knife through my heart. Before I share the devastating journey that led to this moment and how it forever changed my perspective on family, drop a comment letting me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button to join me through this painful story of betrayal, healing, and unexpected strength. Growing up in a quaint Boston suburb, Taylor and I were inseparable despite being 2 years apart. Our childhood home on Maple Street became the backdrop for countless memories, building blanket forts in the living room during thunderstorms, creating secret languages only we understood, and sharing ice cream cones in the backyard during hot summer days. I still remember how Taylor, with her wild curly hair and contagious laugh, would follow me everywhere, proudly telling neighbors, "That's my big sister." Whenever we rode our bikes around the neighborhood, I was the cautious one, always calculating risks before taking action, while Taylor approached life with fearless abandon. We'd whisper stories across our shared bedroom, making promises about how we'd always be there for each other. Everything changed when our parents sat us down in the living room 14 years ago. Mom couldn't stop crying, and Dad stared at the floor as they explained they were getting divorced. I was 14, Taylor just 12. The foundation of our world cracked that day, sending us tumbling in different directions. I responded by becoming hyper-responsible, as if perfect grades and impeccable behavior could somehow fix our broken family. Meanwhile, Taylor's pain manifested as rebellion. Skipping classes, sneaking out at night, and finding friends our parents disapproved of. When custody arrangements were finalized, I chose to stay with Dad in our family home while Taylor moved across town with Mom. "You're abandoning me too," Taylor had accused, standing in our half-empty bedroom the day she moved out, building a resume for college applications. Taylor dyed her hair black, got a nose piercing, and cycled through friend groups like seasonal wardrobes. We'd pass each other in the hallways of family gatherings with awkward smiles, like familiar strangers. College brought a brief reconnection. During my sophomore year at Boston University, life sent us on divergent paths again. I secured an entry-level position at a marketing firm, working 60-hour weeks to climb the corporate ladder. Meanwhile, Taylor bounced between jobs: retail, bartending, freelance design work that never quite paid the bills. Each Christmas and Thanksgiving, I'd return home with news of promotions and achievements, while Taylor seemed stuck in perpetual transition. Last Christmas at Dad's house seemed normal on the surface. Taylor complimented my new car in the driveway but later made a snide comment about corporate sellouts when I mentioned my recent promotion to marketing executive. Dad quickly changed the subject. A practiced peacekeeper after years of navigating our increasingly divergent lives. Over the past decade, I'd loaned Taylor money more times than I could count, for rent, car repairs, and listened through tearful phone calls after each breakup and job loss. Part of me felt responsible for her struggles, wondering if our fractured childhood had affected her more deeply than me. Taylor rarely reciprocated these gestures. She forgot my birthdays, canceled plans last minute, and once borrowed my favorite dress only to return it stained and torn. I made excuses for her behavior, telling myself she was still finding her way, still healing from our past. Friends questioned why I kept trying. But how could I explain the invisible thread that binds siblings together despite everything? When you share a history, a DNA, and memories no one else was there to witness, walking away isn't simple. Still, nothing prepared me for what was coming. 2 weeks before the Facebook post that shattered everything, my phone rang at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Taylor's name flashed on the screen, and I answered immediately, worried something might be wrong. "Steph? Thank God you picked up." Taylor's voice sounded strained. "I'm in serious trouble. My landlord's threatening eviction if I don't pay the back rent by Friday. I'm short $1,500 and I've tried everything." The timing wasn't great. I was saving for a down payment on a condo, but family comes first. "I can help," I said, already calculating which expenses I could postpone. "But Taylor." This is the third time this year. What's going on with your finances? I know. The design studio cut my hours and then my car needed repairs, she explained, her words tumbling out rapidly. Let's grab lunch next week, I suggested. I can help you make a budget that works with your income. You're literally saving my life, Taylor gushed. I don't know what I'd do without you. 3 days later, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw Taylor's post showing off VIP tickets to the sold-out Coldplay concert. Sometimes you just have to treat yourself. #VIP status #best night ever, read the caption. The tickets for that section cost at least $500 each, and the photo showed she'd purchased two. My hands shook as I called her. Taylor, are you monitoring my social media now? That's creepy, Steph. I'm not monitoring anything. You posted publicly about expensive concert tickets right after telling me you were about to be evicted. Those were a gift from my friend Zach, she claimed, though I'd never heard this friend's name before. And anyway, why do you care how I spend my money? Just because you help me out sometimes doesn't mean you get to control my life. I care because I thought you were about to be homeless. I transferred money from my savings account to help with what you called an emergency. Oh my God, it's always about the money with you, Taylor's voice escalated. You love lording your financial stability over me, don't you? Makes you feel superior that your little sister can't get her life together like perfect Stephanie. Landlord situation is handled, promise. Love you. I wanted to believe her, so I suggested we meet for lunch that Saturday to clear the air. Taylor enthusiastically agreed, choosing an upscale cafe downtown. My treat, she insisted, which seemed like a peace offering. Saturday arrived, and I spent 30 minutes finding parking near the cafe. After waiting at our table for 45 minutes, I called Taylor repeatedly with no answer. Finally, a text came through. So sorry. Mom had an emergency with her bathroom flooding. Rain check. I called our mother immediately, concerned. Everything's fine here, Mom said, confused. I saw Taylor this morning when she borrowed my hair straightener, but there's definitely no flooding. Hurt and confused, I scrolled through Instagram on the drive home, only to see Taylor had posted a story just 30 minutes earlier. There she was, clinking mimosa glasses with friends at a popular brunch spot across town, captioned "Weekend Vibes with my favorites." That night, I drafted and deleted a dozen confrontational messages. Part of me wanted to demand an explanation, while another part questioned whether the constant conflict was worth it. Eventually, I sent a simple text. I think we need to have an honest conversation about what's going on between us. This isn't healthy. Taylor's response came the next morning. You're right. Let's talk Tuesday after work. I spent the next 2 days rehearsing what I would say, determined to establish boundaries while salvaging our relationship. I never imagined that conversation would be the match that ignited an explosion years in the making. Tuesday evening arrived with an unseasonable chill in the air. I'd even prepared Taylor's favorite snacks, salt and vinegar chips with French onion dip, as a peace offering. The doorbell rang at 6:30 p.m. Taylor stood there, arms crossed, expression already defensive before a word had been spoken. Her body language screamed, I don't want to be here, as she brushed past me into the living room. Nice place, she commented, glancing around my carefully decorated apartment. The corporate world must be treating you well. I ignored the barb. Thanks for coming. Do you want something to drink? I got that blackberry cider you like. No thanks. Let's just get to it. You wanted to talk, so talk. She remained standing while I sat on the couch, creating a power dynamic that felt intentional. Taking a deep breath, I tried to approach the conversation with compassion. Taylor, I feel like there's been tension between us for a while now. The lunch cancellation was just one incident, but it's part of a pattern that's hurting our relationship. I want to understand what's going on. What's going on is you're constantly judging me. Taylor shot back, pacing now. Do you have any idea what it's like being your sister? Perfect Stephanie with her perfect job and perfect apartment and perfect life. My life isn't perfect, Taylor. You know that. Oh please. You've always been Dad's favorite. Even Mom talks about how responsible and successful you are. Do you know what it's like growing up in your shadow? Teachers always saying, why can't you be more like your sister? Friends asking why I don't have my life together like you do. I was stunned. I've never tried to make you feel that way. I've only ever wanted to support you. Taylor laughed bitterly. Support? You mean control. Your help always comes with strings attached. Spreadsheets and budgets and constant questions about my choices. You love playing the hero, don't you? Saint Stephanie swooping in to save her mess of a sister. That's not fair, I said. And you love showing off your promotions, your travels, your expensive clothes. It's like you're rubbing my face in everything I don't have. The conversation spiraled from there. With years of unspoken resentment pouring out of Taylor, I learned she'd apparently felt overshadowed since childhood, harboring a narrative about our relationship I didn't recognize. I think you're controlling and manipulative. You've always used money to keep me dependent on you, because it makes you feel important. Before I could respond, Taylor announced she was leaving. I need some air. This was a mistake. 2 days later, we found ourselves at Dad's house for his birthday dinner. I'd nearly canceled, still raw from our unresolved argument, but couldn't bring myself to disappoint him. The tension was palpable as we gathered around the dining table. Dad tried valiantly to maintain conversation. It's their biggest client yet. Congratulations, Taylor said with a thin smile. Always climbing that corporate ladder while the rest of us struggle to pay bills. Dad's fork paused midway to his mouth. Taylor, that's uncalled for. It's fine, Dad, I said quietly. The project is challenging but exciting. I'm sure it's very challenging deciding which luxury vacation to take with your bonus, Taylor muttered. I finally addressed her directly. What exactly is your problem with my career? I've worked incredibly hard to get where I am. My problem is how you flaunt your success when you know I'm struggling. I've never flaunted anything. And every time I try to help, you accuse me of controlling you. Dad intervened. Girls, please. Not tonight. Taylor pushed back her chair abruptly. Of course you take her side. You always do. The drive home was a blur of confused emotions. My phone buzzed with a series of texts from Taylor. Hope you're happy now. Always have to be the center of attention. Dad probably wishes he only had you anyway. Some of us weren't born with everything handed to us. I didn't respond, knowing anything I said would be twisted. The next morning, I sent a carefully worded message. I'm sorry things have gotten so strained between us. I love you and want to work through this. Can we try again with a mediator maybe? Family therapy? Her response chilled me. I need space from toxic people right now, even if they're family. That was the last direct communication we had before the Facebook post. In the week that followed, I left 2 voicemails checking in, both unanswered. I even sent a small care package to her apartment with her favorite tea and a handwritten note expressing my desire to heal our relationship. I thought we were in a cooling-off period before trying again. I had no idea she was preparing to publicly denounce me to everyone we knew. That Thursday morning began like any other. I opened Facebook while waiting for a large attachment to download. The first post on my feed stopped me cold. Taylor's profile picture stared back at me beside a lengthy paragraph. The timestamp showed 3:22 a.m. The first line jumped out in bold declaration. Finally blocking my toxic sister family is better without her. I blinked, certain I'd misread. But as my eyes moved through the paragraph, the reality became undeniable. After years of manipulation, control, and emotional abuse, I'm finally setting myself free from my narcissistic sister and using financial help as a weapon to keep me dependent and inferior. My coffee cup slipped from my hand, spilling across the counter as I continued reading in horror. The subtle put-downs disguised as concern, the public persona of generosity while privately reminding me of every dollar I've ever needed to borrow. That I spread rumors about her mental health to our extended family, that I had even tried to break up her relationships when she was finally happy. Some toxic people don't deserve forgiveness just because they share your DNA. The post had already garnered 47 comments and 89 reactions. Trembling, I scrolled through them. So proud of you for setting boundaries. Blood doesn't excuse abuse. Stay strong. I always sensed something off about her. Trust your gut. Family should lift you up, not tear you down. My phone began buzzing with notifications. Screenshots of the post arrived from concerned friends. Is everything okay? Just saw this. Call me when you can. Worried about you. What the hell is going on with Taylor? I tried calling Taylor immediately, but the call went straight to voicemail. My text showed as undelivered. She had blocked my number. I rushed to her Instagram and Twitter accounts only to discover I'd been blocked there too, completely cut off without warning or discussion. My hand shook so badly I could barely type as I messaged our mutual friend Amber. Have you seen Taylor's post? None of that is true. I don't understand what's happening. Amber's response was hesitant. She's been hinting about problems with you for months, Steph. I didn't want to get involved, but she's shared some pretty concerning stories. What stories? The time you supposedly showed up at her date to embarrass her. None of this had ever happened. I'd never even met any of Taylor's dates, let alone interfered with them. And I had actively recommended her for design work whenever possible. Frantic, I searched through Taylor's older social media posts, finding subtle references I'd previously missed. 3 months ago. Family isn't always a blessing. Sometimes it's a lesson in who not to be. 6 weeks ago. Friendly reminder that helping someone doesn't give you the right to control them. #toxic relationships. 2 weeks ago. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones holding you back. Trust actions, not shared history. She had been building this narrative for months while maintaining a normal facade in our limited interactions. The realization made me physically ill. I barely made it to the bathroom before vomiting, my entire body trembling with shock. I called in sick to work, unable to imagine facing colleagues who might have already seen the post. Throughout the day, more messages arrived, some supportive, others clearly believing Taylor's version of events. Our cousin Megan called, hesitantly asking if I was getting help for my issues. My mother texted asking why Taylor wasn't responding to her calls either. The public humiliation was excruciating, but the betrayal cut deeper. How could someone who knew me my entire life believe I was capable of such calculated cruelty? How could she erase 2 decades of memories and support with a single social media post? That night, I searched our expressions for hints of the resentment Taylor claimed had always existed, finding nothing but what appeared to be genuine affection. I drafted and deleted countless responses, knowing anything I posted would only escalate the situation and create a public spectacle. The thought of friends, family, and colleagues witnessing a sisterly feud play out online was unbearable. Instead, I curled into a ball on my couch, physically unable to stand as waves of panic overtook me. My chest tightened until breathing became a conscious effort. The room spun. For the first time in my adult life, I felt completely powerless. My carefully constructed world crumbling around me based on accusations I couldn't defend against without seeming defensive. The classic catch-22 of false allegations. By morning, Taylor's post had been shared 26 times. Someone had tagged our extended family members. An aunt I hadn't seen in years commented she always knew something was off about me. Ignored my doorbell when concerned friends stopped by, and survived on delivery food I could barely taste. Sleep came in fitful bursts, interrupted by nightmares where I screamed explanations no one could hear. The temptation to publicly defend myself warred with the knowledge that social media wars rarely vindicate anyone. On the 4th morning, my phone rang with Dad's number. I almost didn't answer, afraid of what he might believe about me now. Stephanie. His voice was gentle when I finally picked up. But she's blocked me too now. She blocked you. This revelation momentarily shocked me out of my own pain. Why would she block you? Because I questioned her version of events, he said simply. Stephanie, I've watched you girls grow up. I know who you are. Nothing in that post reflects the daughter I've known for 34 years. His unwavering belief broke something in me, releasing days of suppressed emotion and heaving sobs. When I could finally speak again, I asked the question haunting me. What did I do wrong, Dad? How did we get here? I don't think this is about what you did, Steph. I think Taylor is going through something we don't understand. That afternoon, my best friend Amber finally convinced me to let her come over. She gasped when I opened the door, later telling me I looked like a ghost. She forced me to shower while she cleared away the accumulation of takeout containers and tissues. Over tea, Amber shared what she knew. Taylor's been creating this narrative for months, but her stories keep changing. First, she said you were subtly undermining her. Then it became deliberate sabotage. The timeline never adds up. And when people ask for specifics, she gets vague or defensive. Why didn't you tell me? I tried hinting a few times, but you always defended her, Amber said gently. I made an emergency appointment with a therapist. Dr. Winters listened intently as I poured out the whole complicated history. What you're describing, she said carefully, shows some concerning patterns that align with certain personality disorders. I can't diagnose someone I haven't treated, but Taylor's behavior, the distortion of reality, black and white thinking, the projection of her own actions onto you, and the public smear campaign, these are recognized patterns. Are you saying she's mentally ill? Asked, simultaneously feeling defensive of my sister and desperate for explanations. I'm saying her behavior isn't rational, and you can't respond to it rationally. When someone rewrites history and refuses direct communication, traditional conflict resolution won't work. Over the next few weeks, with Dr. Winters' guidance, I worked through stages of grief for the relationship I thought I had. The denial that initially had me believing this was just a terrible misunderstanding. The anger that surged when I found more public posts elaborating on my supposed abuse. The bargaining that had me drafting lengthy emails Taylor would never read. The depression that made getting out of bed a daily victory. Then came unexpected discoveries. During a difficult conversation with my mother, I learned Taylor had told her I refused to help with her rent crisis, the complete opposite of reality. Mom revealed Taylor had borrowed money from her too, with similarly shifting explanations. I just assumed I missed something. Each revelation was another puzzle piece, forming a picture of systematic manipulation I hadn't recognized while living through it. Taylor hadn't just misinterpreted our relationship. She had actively constructed an alternate reality. Research became my coping mechanism. I read everything I could find about family estrangement, describing how some individuals create splitting narratives, casting themselves as victims and others as villains, to manage internal emotional turmoil. 6 weeks after the Facebook post, I had my moment of clarity. I was sitting in a park, watching a family with 2 young sisters playing nearby. The older girl helped the younger one climb a ladder, then celebrated when she made it to the top. Their simple interaction, one sister supporting the other's success without resentment, crystallized what I'd been missing: reciprocity. For years, I'd poured energy, love, and resources into a relationship that fundamentally lacked balance. I'd made excuses, accepted blame, and compromised my boundaries, all while believing I could somehow fix what was broken if I just tried harder, gave more, expected less. That evening, I've spent weeks trying to understand how our perceptions of our relationship could be so dramatically different. I've questioned every interaction, blamed myself for not seeing your pain, and grieved for the connection I thought we had. The sister I knew and loved is someone I would still do anything for. But I've realized I can't have a relationship with the version of me that exists in your mind. That person is a stranger I don't recognize and can't defend. Those aren't just words. They're reflected in my actions over decades. I'm setting a boundary now. I won't engage in public defenses against allegations that rewrite our history. I won't participate in family triangulation or indirect communication. If you ever want to have an honest conversation, preferably with a professional mediator, I'm open to that. Until then. Taylor's response came as a public screenshot of my email posted with her commentary. Classic manipulation tactics. Denying everything, playing the victim, making it about her pain. This is exactly why cutting toxic people off is necessary. The comments section filled with her supporters, but I felt strangely detached now. For the first time, I saw Taylor's behavior with clarity instead of through the lens of sisterly obligation. This wasn't about me at all. It was about something broken within her that I couldn't fix. No matter how much I loved her. I blocked Taylor's accounts that day, not out of retaliation, but as an act of self-preservation. Then I called my boss and asked for a week off to clear my head. 6 months have passed since the Facebook post that changed everything. The seasons have shifted from winter to summer, and my life has transformed just as dramatically. The initial raw wound of Taylor's betrayal has scarred over. Still visible, occasionally tender, but no longer actively bleeding. My apartment reflects this evolution. Where family photos once dominated my bookshelves, I've created a more balanced display. Some family images remain, but they're interspersed with photos of friends, travel memories, and art that brings me joy. It's a subtle but meaningful representation of how I've rebuilt my sense of identity beyond family roles. Therapy continues to be my anchor. Dear Winters has helped me understand that my relationship with Taylor was built on a foundation of childhood trauma. Our parents' divorce created different wounds in each of us. While I responded by becoming the perfect daughter and caretaker, Taylor's insecurity manifested as competition and resentment. Neither response was inherently wrong, just different adaptive strategies formed by developing brains. You can understand someone's pain without accepting their harmful behavior. Dr. Winters reminded me during a particularly difficult session when I confessed missing Taylor despite everything. Compassion and boundaries can coexist. Setting boundaries with other family members proved equally challenging. Mom initially wanted to play peacemaker, suggesting I just apologize to Taylor, whether or not you did anything wrong, to restore family harmony. I love you both, she said during a tense lunch. Can't you just be the bigger person? Stephanie. Finding my voice took courage. Being the bigger person doesn't mean accepting abuse, Mom. I'm willing to reconcile with honesty and mutual respect, but not at any cost. Dad adapted more readily to the new family dynamic, respecting my boundaries while maintaining his own relationship with Taylor. I can love you both separately, he explained, occasionally referencing her toxic family when engagement on her accounts dips. According to mutual friends, she's found community in online groups focused on family estrangement, finding Taylor's forgotten sweatshirt while seasonal cleaning. Her birthday, the song that played during our road trip to the beach 7 years ago. Grief arrives in waves, catching me off guard when I thought I'd finally reached calm waters. 3 months ago, I nearly broke my no-contact rule after finding old photos from our teen years. In one, 15-year-old Taylor and 17-year-old me stood with arms wrapped around each other, grinning widely after her school play. The genuine joy in both our expressions made me question everything. Had I imagined the good parts of our relationship? Had she? I drafted a text before remembering Dr. Winters' wisdom, unwilling to take sides in what they perceived as typical sibling drama. Their absence created space for deeper connections with those who stood by me. People who valued truth over drama, who understood boundaries aren't rejection. My cousin Rachel, initially swayed by Taylor's version of events, reached out after witnessing inconsistencies in her stories. I should have talked to you directly instead of believing social media posts, she admitted over coffee. I'm sorry I failed you as family. Her apology healed something in me. Not everyone would seek truth beyond the viral narratives Taylor created, but those who mattered would. The most surprising growth came professionally. After years of playing it safe, I accepted a challenging position at a smaller agency where I could have greater creative input. The old Stephanie might have stayed in her comfortable role indefinitely, prioritizing stability above fulfillment. The new Stephanie, tested by fire and found resilient, embraces calculated risks and authentic self-expression. My apartment now features something unthinkable before. A framed needlepoint pillow gifted by Amber that reads, "Family is earned, not just born." Beside it sits a journal where I record moments of gratitude for the family I've chosen, friends who show up consistently, who tell hard truths with love, who celebrate my successes without resentment. I still believe blood bonds matter. I still hope that someday, Taylor will find whatever healing she needs to see our relationship clearly. I've left that door unlocked. Not wide open, but unlocked. Reconciliation would require professional mediation, honest accountability, and rebuilt trust. It's not impossible, just improbable in the near future. Meanwhile, I've stopped putting my life on hold waiting for closure that may never come. I've learned that sometimes the most loving thing we can do for ourselves and others is to release expectations and accept what is, rather than exhausting ourselves fighting for what might have been. The most valuable lesson came from my therapist during a session when I questioned whether I could have prevented the estrangement. Your only obligation is to behave with integrity and set boundaries that protect your well-being. This morning I did something symbolic, but it was also keeping me tethered to the pain. Letting them go felt like releasing a weight I'd carried for months. Family estrangement remains a social taboo, unable to comprehend the complexity behind the broken bond. I've stopped trying to justify my boundaries to those who haven't lived through similar experiences. Instead, I focus on this truth. Family should be defined by love, respect, and mutual support, not just shared genetics. Sometimes the healthiest family structures don't match the traditional models we're taught to revere. Sometimes love means letting go. Sometimes strength looks like walking away. If you're watching this and struggling with toxic family relationships, please know you're not alone. Your worth isn't determined by someone else's inability to see it. Your truth doesn't become less valid because someone denies it. And your boundaries aren't selfish. They're necessary protection for your heart and spirit. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Have you experienced family estrangement? What helped you heal? Did you eventually reconcile or find peace in distance? Your stories might help others feeling isolated in similar struggles. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more content about navigating life's complicated relationships. Thank you for witnessing my journey. May your own path, whatever its challenges, lead to the peace and authenticity you deserve.